Hey YouTube, what's happening? Chris here. Want to bring you guys a little update. We're going to be going over Bitcoin today. We're going to do Ethereum and we're going to do Zcash. Those are the three we're going to be looking at here. So if you guys could like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Trying for 100 likes on this video. You guys have been killing it for me. Beyond thankful. Can't thank you enough. So we'll get into this, and what we're going to be talking about today is a big break coming for Bitcoin, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that, my take, and what's potentially happening. If this is a bear flag, if this is a BART pattern, and the reason why we want to be prepared for both. So move those likes up for me, guys. I really appreciate it, and we'll get into this. So I don't want to take up too much of you all's time, but we're going to dig in a little bit today on Bitcoin. What you're having here, you're having higher lows on the bottom where we have this trend line that must hold if we want to continue in whatever uptrend that we're forming right now. You know, guys, we are down here around, let's see, 31.12, and we have not revisited 31.12 since, let's see, we were there on the 16th of December. So since then we've been up above. We had this big spike, and then we just kind of been moving back down. We hit right in here around that 3,300, and then we shot back up. And what we're having now, and why I said a big break's going to be coming, we're either going to have a BART pattern that comes down here. We're going to test this lower trend line, and we're going to see if it holds or if we're going to get a break. If we do break that trend line, guys, most likely we're going to be coming down here and testing to see if we hit this double bottom, or we potentially could break through that. So what I'm going to do is draw a horizontal line there, and I want you all to pay attention to that right there. So that's a spot we're really going to want to see hold in the future. If this indeed does break down and this trend line doesn't hold, we'll see if we can get a double bottom off that. Now, another thing that this could be is that bull flag. You had that big spike up, and then you're having this cool off here where you have that decreasing volume, and then we could potentially have another spike up, and we would need to have that spike up on volume, and we need to get over this trend line here and close up above it. But like I said, there's not much more room for Bitcoin to go. We're either going to have to be going down here, and we're going to have to lose this 20 EMA at 35.39, or we need to break up above that 50 moving average that's at 3,625, and we're not there yet. And that's also with the trend lines coming down upon that. We've had these lower highs and we've had higher lows, so now we're getting to that decision point. Where are we going to go? And you know, guys, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, this isn't financial advice, I almost feel like we could come back down and test down around in this area before we ultimately start moving back up. That's just my gut feeling on the situation. You know, we've had so many of these, guys, where we have this nice spike, then we move sideways, then we drop back down like that BART pattern or whatever we've been talking about. I know this is a little miniature one, but we've been having these big spikes up, then we move sideways, and then we dump back down. And that's kind of what I'm anticipating. Remember, we have a plan for the upside, the downside, and the sideways. I got a plan for all three, like I've just outlined for you. Or we could potentially another day or two move sideways. But in all actuality, we've just had so many fake, so many BART patterns that, you know, until proven different, that's what I'm going to assume I may be seeing here. So we'll just check that out. Remember, we're still having this decreasing overall volume that's going down. We want to keep our eye on. And look how far away Bitcoin is from this 200-day moving average. Like we talked about, Litecoin is running into that 200-day moving average. It bounced off it a little bit. We went down a few extra dollars, but this is a big gap. You know, and that's the case kind of for the upside here, that we get drawn to this moving average, this 200-day moving average, either to the downside or the upside, and this here is up above, and we're so overextended, maybe we're going to have a break out from here where we go up, we come back, test this trend line, then make a move at it. There's a lot of space we could run if we can get up above. We would say 42.53 is going to be a very tough spot. May have a little resistance at 4,500, then it's going to be that 200-day moving average around 52.64, somewhere right now. And this one says exactly 52.79 is where that'll be. All right, so we're just waiting for the break. We're going to see if this a bull flag or is this a BART pattern. Is the lower trend line going to hold? Is the upper trend line going to act as resistance? We're sandwiched between the 20 EMA and the 50 moving average right now, so we're at decision time. And now we just have to sit back and wait. You can see, guys, we're down 0.23. We're just moving sideways right now. It's moving sideways, and we're going to see which way it breaks. So that's Bitcoin. Let's check out Ethereum. And leave it down low, guys, what you think. Is it going to break up, down? Is it a bull flag? Is it a BART pattern? What are you thinking? All right. So it looks like Ethereum is a little closer to this 200-day moving average than what Bitcoin is. which obviously is a good thing. But you can see all the different trend lines and things I was drawing, guys. So down here, when we had this break, then we had that fall, and that's where I said trend line breaks are so powerful. We're just going to clean this up a bit. We had this trend line here, and what happened? We broke up out of that. Guys, I can't stress trend lines enough and the power of the breaks. And yes, sometimes they're false breakouts and you fall all the way back through, but that's why I read that book, Chart Patterns by Bukowski. You can make money off broken patterns as well. So don't forget that. But just stepping back, taking a look at this here. Now, are we going to get a cross of the 20 EMA over top of this 50 moving average, that golden cross? That very well could happen. We have to look at that. We're getting sandwiched between the 20 EMA and the 50. We've wicked up through it a couple times. So here, same thing with Ethereum. Are we going to break up out of this, get up over that 123 and potentially run up to that 157? Yeah, you're going to have a little overhead resistance here where we had this tweezer top. But we'd see if we could get up to around that point here, around that 157. All right, on the downside, we would be looking for support to hold around that 102. And what I'm going to do next is draw some trend lines on here. You guys can kind of see what I do. When I go through, I put all my moving averages. I draw my trend lines where I see they're necessary. And we'll see. We'll try some different ones here. So we'll see. So this would have been a trend line off the bodies here. And we've just kind of made it out of it. We're floating up above it here. It almost looks like we didn't really have a strong break out of here, so we're floating back above, and we're treating this as support for the moment. We're going to see if we get a break up out of that. So you could draw a trend line there. That's going to be an important trend line. Or if you didn't want to go all the way from up there, let's try this here. So I would move this one back in to this spot here. I like to do the best I can, guys, in terms of going off real body closes. I'll also measure the wicks when I'm by myself. I'll look at two different trend lines. I'll go from the wicks, then I'll also go from the real bodies. So if they're not perfect, I apologize, guys, but it's giving us a rough estimate here. So this is the lower trend line that must hold the higher lows. We had this nice gap in between here which strengthened up this trend line. And now, like I said, we're just running into this overhead one where we are having these lower highs that were coming in. So it's decision time for Ethereum as well. You know, we're sandwiched in between these moving averages. We got this overhead trend line coming down on us. We have this lower trend line that we need to hold. A lot of things that are taking place with Ethereum, and we just got to be patient. We have to see what we're going to do. If we're going to make a nice run, pop out of here on some good volume, that's a possibility. Could we go back down here and test this 20 EMA first and then potentially down here around this trend line? Absolutely. So have a plan for both, guys, and that's why we're laying out these supports and resistances. And if you go through, I don't want to take too much of your time here, but just, you know, go down through this if you want and kind of look where there's going to be areas that'll be hard to break out of. It's just rough here and around in there. So those are your white ones right there that are overhead resistance, and then down here we'd look for support there, and we'll put that in green. Then down around there as well, we'd look for support around that $80, $78, whatever it was, right in that range. So this is what I'm laying out here. This is what I'm watching. I'm just watching those channels, guys. Just paying attention to the channels. Ethereum's at 120 right now. It's down 0.49%. And the next one we're going to do here is Zcash. It was about, I'd say a month ago, guys, we were looking at Zcash, and it looked like it was kind of in that falling wedge. So we'll have to take a look at that, see what's been playing out. All right. And Zcash is also one that runs very hard. It doesn't have a huge supply, which is great. All right. And you can see we're at the bottom here. I mean, look where this started, guys, right down around in here. Made this move. Obviously, there's some stuff back here, but we're just going to go off this part. So right in here, and then we had this beautiful move, and then we were obeying this 200-day moving average. Remember, I talked about that. In a bull market, we're going to respect that 200-day. In a bear market, it's going to be treated as resistance. So when we ultimately lost this and closed below it, that's when guys should have been exiting around that $351 if they hadn't got out after we had that reaction, that we fell down real hard and then had a reaction up here that a lot of guys got out at the 50 moving average. And you can see the 20 and the 50 both crossing over that 200-day. That was that death cross. And now we're getting very close, though. We're kissing here. You can see our 20 and our 50 day is just so close. Let's see. Alright, but on Zcash, what we are seeing here, you see this low? We did set a lower low here. And now here's a lower high. So we're going to have to see if we can get in this equilibrium pattern where we're having this lower high, then we'll try to get a higher high and just kind of move backward before we break up. Because right now, we're very tight in here. We're up above the 20 EMA, and we've fallen below the 50 moving average. So it's also decision time coming up here for Zcash, which way we're going to go. We're going to treat this 20 as support, or are we going to continue to act like this 50 here is going to be resistance and we're going to get pushed down to a lower low. Alright, let's check out the RSI with that. RSI is starting to hook back down, and we are at 51, so that's about neutral. What we would want to see hold here on Zcash is this lower trend line on the RSI. Keep that in mind right there. And then overhead resistance for the RSI is right up here around that 67. So that's kind of the area we're working in here. Same deal, we got the higher lows and we got the lower highs. So draw another trend line. Remember how treat the RSI basically just like a line graph. There you go. So we do something like that there. I can extend this out for us. So like that. So we're just going to have to see. See, we're bounced off that upper trend line, and now we're rolling back down here. So we're going to have to see with Zcash. Would I be going long on Zcash? You know what? You're having a price that's lower here, and your RSI is going up, so you're having some divergence there as well. You know, overall where Zcash was, guys, take a look at this. I mean, you really can't go wrong where you're picking up Zcash now. Yeah, could it go a little bit lower? Absolutely. Could you hit this spot down in here around $27? Yeah, we could fall back down to it. There's also going to be a spot here around $42 that we could pick up. But look in the grand scheme of things, how low we are. I mean, Zcash made it up to almost $800 at one point, and it's sitting down at $51 right now. This thing runs hard when it runs. So I wanted to bring this to you guys, and this was kind of the wedge that we had drawn. I'll just do a very rough one here. I think it was like from up in here. We had that. Then we had that down in there. And what we've kind of just been doing is we broke sideways here, just been traveling kind of outside of that. A lot of the times when you have these like falling wedges or whatnot, you'll get a pop to the upside, which you can also go to the downside. There's a 30% chance of that as well. But you'll get a nice pop out of here. And what I was hoping for, which hope in this game, guys, is just hope. But what I was looking at and hopefully anticipating was a break out of this, a test to this 200-day moving average, a slight pullback, then finally get up above it, and we start going into this bull market here. So we're down 2% on Zcash, but like I said, it's at the bottom, guys. It is getting low. So, you know, these are the times we want to start thinking about accumulating. Hodling coins is very intelligent in a bull market. It's foolish in a bear market. All right? So keep those things in mind, guys. God bless each and every one of you.